Hello everyone, welcome to yet another day in this clown decade, the decade where things are only going to get worse before they get better. And today it is another day of, my god, isn't the Labour government just horrendous? Because as it turns out, Starmer's record on the small boat is worse than any other Prime Minister. More than 6,600 migrants detected crossing the Channel over the first 3 months of 2025. And as you can see, when you are comparing like for the first 8 or 9 months, I think that is, of each Prime Minister since the small boats became a massive issue, Keir Starmer absolutely takes Rishi Sunak out of the water, and Boris Johnson, his was very low because the boat crossing didn't really become an issue until we could actually deal with the Calais crossings. But yes, the whole we will stop the boats, going to a third country is useless, get rid of the Rwanda scheme, we'll just smash the gangs. Clearly, what's happened is exactly what Matt Goodwin was saying. It just won't work because it's so decentralised, the human trafficking network, that it's basically impossible to actually deal with the issue that way. The best thing to do is just remove the incentives for them coming over, whether that be don't give them free accommodation, don't give them free healthcare. Sorry, I should really rephrase that. Taxpayer-funded healthcare, taxpayer-funded accommodation, taxpayer-funded benefits, because they get spending money. And not only that, if they're found in the Channel, turn them around, send them back to France. Oh, we can't do that, we don't have a deal, ECHR. Leave the ECHR, make a deal with them. I'm happy to give France some money if it helps them deal with the illegal migrants there, which what they should do is send them away somewhere. Doesn't matter where at this point. It's become too much of an issue. So more than 6,600 migrants were detected in the Channel. Again, this is just detected. In small boats over the first 3 months of 2025, over 30% more than the previous record of just under 5,000 by this time in 2024, Home Office data shows. The early surge in 2025 is partly fuelled by better weather and calmer seas, so okay, the weather's also nicer, fair enough, but also people smugglers are cramming more migrants into each dinghy. With the weather expected to continue to improve in the spring, the 30,000 threshold for migrants crossing the Channel under the Prime Minister's watch is expected to be passed within days. Oh my god. It comes as Starmer admits at an international summit that Britain has been a soft touch on illegal migration for too long, blaming fragmented policing, border force and intelligence agencies, which people smugglers had exploited to bring thousands of illegal migrants to the UK. Well, that and the fact that when they do come over, they have absolutely every institution on their side from the looks of it. Honestly, going back to it, Theresa May's hostile environment was probably actually a good idea if it was actually implemented properly. Why would you not be hostile to criminals? The creation of a new Border Security Command was a key feature of the manifesto that helped Labour to power. Hailed as a major step change by incoming Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, its mission, who we now have portraits of in the House of Commons for some reason. Its mission statement was to smash the criminal smuggling gangs making millions out of small boat crossings. However, 9 months on, evidence of its effectiveness are thin. Average weekly crossings under Keir Starmer are currently well above those of his predecessor. The 29,884 arrivals under Labour leader as of March 29 equate to just over 780 per week, which Rishi Sunak had 570 and Boris Johnson 400. So, which, to be honest with you, from the looks of that, Rishi Sunak was actually at least flattening out the rate. Under Labour, it's gone right up, and I don't think that can all be put down to weather. In other words, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised at this. Labour have been absolutely useless at defending our borders. Anyway, literally an hour after this news dropped, Keir Starmer decided that he had a message for the people smugglers, so let's take a look at it.
My message to people smugglers is this. We're breaking your business model and leaving you nowhere to hide.
This is very, very Ed Miliband coded.
The point is, people think you're just not tough enough. Well, let me tell you, right? Let me tell you. Okay, but am I tough enough? Tough enough? Hell yes, I'm tough enough.
It's a funny thing about, well, an awful lot of politicians, really. It's not just Labour. But they come across as very inauthentic when things like this are made. And an awful lot of them, unfortunately, are not made for the faux authenticity of the social media era. Because don't get me wrong, you'll come across channels like mine, which are largely authentic, but then you'll get the odd big channel that lose their authenticity over time. The problem with government and government bodies and MPs and things like that is effectively they've never been allowed to be authentic because that's not the way politics is played. and now we have social media, well, unfortunately, you're probably going to have to get more authentic people in the business. And, well, this is why reform is so refreshing to people, because they look authentic.
We're working with law enforcement partners across the world to freeze your assets, to ban your travel, and put you behind bars.
I mean, this should have been happening anyway, and I'm not being funny, but you set up Border Force Command, or whatever you called it, and 9 months in, they've made things worse somehow. I don't think anyone's buying this.
When I was this country's chief prosecutor, I locked up terrorists who plotted to blow up planes across the Atlantic.
Okay, well done, you did the bare basics there. But now you're Prime Minister and you're not doing a very good job of getting these people smugglers. That's all I have to say.
Now I'm going after the criminals who put people on small boats across the channel. We're boosting enforcement with a new Border Security Command. We're giving the police more power to stop smugglers in their tracks.
I don't really understand how you're doing that with the police, though. The problem is all these people smugglers are in Europe. Over in Britain, we don't really have any because this is the destination. So, Border Security Command, yeah, good if they can turn them around. Are they going to turn them around, though? I don't think they are. I don't think that was the point. They seem to just be the RNLI 2.0, which people complain about the RNLI getting them safely over, but that is their job. It's the Navy that's supposed to turn them back, and we're just not using it.
And we're making sure no one can profit from this vile trade. Since the election, this government has returned over 20,000 people who have no right to be here.
24,103 to be specific, and they like spouting this statistic around because, yes, it is more than the Tories managed to do, and it also includes about 3,594 foreign national offenders, which is a rather large, popular, position and policy to hold. Also happens to be reform policy. But Matt Goodwin makes the point, you're gaslighting the British people. Most of these are returning voluntarily while you're approving most asylum claims from illegal migrants in Britain, encouraging more to come. This is why the small boats are up 40% this year from last year. You're not securing anything. So basically, yeah, it's a good large number. The problem is that it is people who are voluntarily returning to their country with whom we already have return deals. And this is largely on trend with where the Tories were going with it anyway. Our returns basically went to zero over COVID for obvious reasons. I mean, we let thousands of people in still, but ignore that. And then we started ramping them up under Boris Johnson, and then under Rishi Sunak they went up more. And this is largely just within trend. They've not actually done anything. You would have seen similar numbers under the Tories, so do they get a gold medal for this? Nah. But it's good to see. It's good to see that deportations are actually happening.
And we aren't going to stop. Returns will continue to increase. My plan for change will save lives, secure our borders, and smash the gangs for good.
Yeah, you may have noticed, as I did, there wasn't really any specifics in there. Oh, we'll make a border force. What are they going to do? Smash the gangs. Oh, you said that, a year ago at this point. And it's all got worse. And I think another funny aspect to all this, but in their propaganda of, look how many deportations we're managing, aren't we based, they're using the exact same footage as their last piece of propaganda. This is effectively turned into stock footage for them. If you really have managed to deport over 20,000 people, you would have thought you'd have more footage than this, but there we go. Anyway, I will give credit to the Labour Party where it is due. The police are now investigating Turkish barbershops over money laundering. The National Crime Agency has overseen dozens of raids in the past month, and believe many are a front for money laundering, tax fraud and illegal immigrants, which has been obvious to absolutely everyone for ages. I remember having to get a haircut in, I think it was Guildford, and because I was going to a wedding and didn't have time to get one before, and just walked around the area looking for barbershops, and I saw one that was quite empty and thought, oh, I can just go in there. I then realised they took cash only, and the owner spoke broken English, and he sent me to a hairdresser, or a barber, sorry, who didn't speak any English. I said the most basic, 2 round the back and sides, short on top, and I got the reply, I don't speak much English, in relatively broken English, and then had to communicate with my hands in really bad sign language. And it was only probably about 20 minutes after I paid the money that I thought to myself, I think I've just paid for illegal immigrants there. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they told me to go get cash after I had my hair cut. If I just walked off, I don't think they'd do anything about it. I think they make that much money, but unfortunately, I'm relatively honest. And this is an open secret with absolutely everyone. Everyone has noticed Turkish barbers appearing everywhere. Vape shops, American candy shops as well. They're appearing everywhere, and people are noticing. And a lot of people realise they're cash only, and basically everyone's knows that it doesn't pass the sniff test. So it's good that after 5 years or so, the National Crime Agency is catching up. So the crackdown involved a number of police forces, HM Revenue and Customs inspectors, and the Home Office's Immigration Enforcement Department. Many barbershops are suspected of being used as a front to launder drug money and other criminal profits, as well as providing work for illegal immigrants. Wow, you don't say. I suppose as well it's worth mentioning it's not just barbershops they're going after. They've also brought in legislation to put more emphasis on the employers like Deliveroo in the gig economy to make sure that the people who are using their accounts to work for them are actually the people that they say they are. Because I've seen it on Twitter before, people saying, oh, I was supposed to get someone called Miranda dropping off my Chinese, and it was a guy called Mohammed instead. How's this happened? Because at the end of the day, if you have had your delivery by an illegal immigrant, that person should be deported. They are here illegally. And people don't want illegal immigrants for obvious reasons. It's the same reason everyone locks their doors at night. They don't want strangers coming into their home. Why would we want people who shouldn't be here in the country here? In some raids carried out in the northeast of England, tax inspectors are understood to have counted the number of chairs in a salon and covertly recorded the number of customers entering the shop to see if it tallied with the profits declared by the business. You sometimes got half a dozen barbers on the same street all declaring large takings, and yet they're empty most of the time. That is obviously going to raise a flag, one official said. The number of barbershops of all types across the UK has increased by more than 50% since 2018, 18,411 according to Green Street, a retail analytics company. More than 750 premises opened last year. Turkish-style barbers usually offer a shave with a hot towel and cutthroat razor. Most are legitimate businesses. I don't think most of the new ones are. However, the fact that some barbershops are now being investigated by the NCA indicates that organised crime groups are exploiting the trade. The shops targeted in this month's operations were predominantly cash only. Well, yeah. There's a reason a lot of people do cash-in-hand jobs, and it's to, avoid taxes. Shops often market themselves as Turkish barbers, although many are run by Kurds or Albanians. It just means Middle Eastern, doesn't it? Criminals from both these communities have been linked to drugs and people smuggling. Really? The NCA said intelligence linking the use of barbershop as well as other cash-intensive businesses to money launder and other criminality has risen in recent years. I can't read. To respond to this threat, the NCA has coordinated multi-agency law enforcement action targeting barbershops where suspicious activity has been identified. You love to see it. And again, this is good policy. Well done, Labour. You did the bare basics. Because as I say, this is something that people know about. This has come up randomly to me in conversation. I've not even had to guide the conversation this way. People are just like, a lot of Turkish barbers around towns now, aren't there? Yeah, most of them are money laundering. It's like, yeah, I noticed most of them are cash businesses. I wonder why that is. Anyway, 5 years later, the NCA do something about it. It shouldn't take that long, but at least they're doing it now. Anyway, in more disappointing news, stopping all small boats unrealistic, says head of response team. The warning comes as Sir Keir Starmer hosts a summit in London with representatives from more than 40 countries to boost the sharing of intelligence, tactics and resources. Which on the face of it doesn't look like a bad idea, but then you remember, we have a natural moat. This was always seen by castles to be one of the best ways to defend said castle. We're not doing the work to defend it, so apparently the best alternative is to host 40 countries in London to talk about how do we secure all our borders. This should be on a per-country basis. And I'm not being funny, but Poland have announced that they're not allowing anyone to cross their border illegally anymore, which I don't know why that wasn't just the default. I don't see why we can't do that, but we're not doing it. So stopping all migrants arriving in small boats will be very difficult to achieve. The military commander in charge of Britain's operational response to channel crossings has warned. And to be honest with you, you'll probably get... The thing is that we can probably handle one or two coming across every month, and then when they do come across and we do catch them, if they're instantly deported, it's kind of no problem there. That is fine. So he said he believed it was possible to significantly reduce migrant crossings and to ensure the business model was unviable for people smugglers. However, speaking in an interview with The Times, He said that it was unrealistic to expect to get the numbers to zero. Probably true. Capps is among those attending a landmark immigration summit in London this week hosted by Starmer, who confirmed that he was considering deportating failed asylum seekers to return hubs in the Western Balkans and other countries. Now this is the part where I really want to absolutely pull my hair out. During this whole, the entire last election, oh, the Rwanda scheme's racist, it's terrible, it doesn't even work, it's unbelievably harsh as well. They're going to Rwanda, can you believe it? Turns out, all the government had to do at the time was pick the Balkans instead of Rwanda, and there would be no issue, according to Labour. Which of course there would be. But you already had this plan in action, pretty much. We were pretty much there, apart from all of the human rights lawyers stopping any sort of deportation there. And now it turns out they scrapped the thing, which already cost millions, to then start up another one in the Balkans, which is just going to cost even more. The amount of people I heard saying, oh, third country, it doesn't work, it won't work, it'll never work, it won't even stop people coming over. Anyway, you get rid of that. The numbers coming in massively increase, showing that there was at least some sort of deterrent there. Not a good one, fair enough, but they'd hardly started all the flights going over there. And then it turns out, oh, actually, it's probably the best idea we had. It's just unbelievable, isn't it? We are run by complete and utter morons. The Prime Minister said that he would look at anything that worked when asked about the proposals, adding that the government was working very closely with Italian counterparts. Giorgia Meloni, the Italian Prime Minister, told the summit that policy had gained increasing consensus as she pointed out the European Union endorsing return hubs. This is why I hate the British left. Everything the British right says and tries to do that is ahead of the curve, the left either call racist, call fascist, and try and get it removed as soon as they're in power. They are anti-making the country work. I'm pretty close to being radicalised to just banning them all outright, but that's obviously never going to work. The thing is that normies have been voting for right-wing policy for decades at this point. It's just never implemented, because the left have won the only way that they can, which is effectively by taking over media, universities, and an awful lot of the civil service. Clear them out. The Times revealed that the government was drawing up proposals to open a series of hubs in countries including Albania, Serbia, Bosnia, and North Macedonia. Apparently these are all good alternatives to Rwanda, where migrants would be sent after they had been rejected for asylum and had exhausted all avenues of appeal. Oh, it's not quite the... So it's not even the Rwanda scheme, it's worse than the Rwanda scheme. They still stay here while they're being processed. The good thing about the Rwanda scheme was that effectively it was a perfect excuse to just make them go elsewhere, because they didn't actually return if they passed, which I thought they did for quite some time. And I thought, oh, asylum seekers here, at least they've passed vetting. The thing is that no, they actually stay in Rwanda, which is a safe country, which is even better because that massively reduced immigration. Obviously, it wasn't the best policy, you can just turn them around in the sea, but it was still a pretty good second best. And Labour aren't even doing that. Starmer said the principal approach that we take is that we will look at anything that works. Obviously, that's going to be consistent with international law, and it's going to be cost effective. What is international law, my dude? Again, by the way, I may as well bring this up now. International law directly led us to paying £90 million a year to Mauritius to give them our own land. Why would you listen to international law? But this is Starmer through and through. He also defended human rights lawyers who have represented asylum seekers and foreign criminals and successfully blocked efforts to deport from the UK. I believe his defence there was, well, it's their job. They are there to represent whoever they are supposed to be representing, whether they agree with it or not, which I just don't know why anyone would bother defending that. Surely we have to change the idea that these people get free representation from British lawyers. Why is our own tax money being spent on lawyers to represent these people? It's absurd. The government is reviewing the use of Article 8 in the European Convention of Human Rights, which protects the right to family life, which is increasingly being exploited by failed asylum seekers. And I could bring this point up forever, but it's never, with both the Tories and Labour, it's never, oh, we need to completely rip everything down and rebuild effectively from the ground up with our reform. It's, oh, this thing's causing a specific issue, we'll look into it. That's all they really do. Even Robert Jenrick's like that, by the way. Robert Jenrick's generally good, but his answers don't really go beyond sack people who are already there, but keep the overall apparatus as it is. It's not an answer. The whole thing needs gutting. And guess who's promising that? Yes, reform. Anyway, the BBC reported that the people smugglers have exploited fragmented policing, border force and intelligence agencies to smuggle thousands of illegal migrants into the UK, the PM has said. Sir Keir Starmer said poor organisation has meant that the UK was a soft touch on illegal immigration. You got that right. Which smugglers took as an open invitation. Oh, so what did you do? Oh, got rid of the Rwanda scheme. Oh, what are you doing instead? Oh, we're totally going to smash the gangs. Oh, anyway, we have the worst year on record for illegal migrants so far. That's one off the bingo card anyway. The Prime Minister made the case for tackling illegal migration like terrorism as he spoke to the first ever organised immigration crime summit in London, attended by more than 40 countries, alongside tech giants like Meta, X and TikTok. Why? Why were they there? Is that because an awful lot of illegal migrants, people smugglers, advertise their services to these platforms? Is that why they were there? The Conservatives said the conference will make no difference and only Rwanda-style deportations would stop illegal migration. I'm going to go along with the reform idea, which is that they all just get deported as soon as they arrive. They get turned around in the ocean. Foreign criminals get deported as well. No, Rwanda is a good second option. It's not great, it's good. Sir Keir is keen for the UK to be seen as leading in the global response to illegal migration. Well, it would be if we had that third country hub in Rwanda going, but you got rid of it. A key issue for the government politically, with both the Conservative and Reform UK accusing Labour of failing to get a grip on the issue, and the stats bear that out now. And it's horrendous, it really is. And the Telegraph went into detail on the Keir Starmer was defending human rights lawyers question, which these comments came because obviously there were a lot of lawyers using the ECHR to avoid deportation, and these include an Albanian criminal who avoided deportation after claiming his son had an aversion to foreign chicken nuggets. It was also because it was harsh, apparently too harsh on him, because he wouldn't be able to have the right to a family because they couldn't go with him. And a Pakistani paedophile who was jailed for child sex offences but escaped removal from the UK as it would be unduly harsh to his own children. It's stuff like this. It's, they won't be able to see their wife and kids. Why? Can they not move to the place they've been deported? Not according to the ECHR. Don't let them know that they can move with them, otherwise the ECHR can't be used. Sir Keir, an eminent human rights barrister before he became Director of Public Prosecutions, was asked whether he had been part of the problem when he acted as a lawyer to fight deportation cases. He said no lawyers are employed to represent people, and they represent them whether they agree with them or don't agree with them. That's been the system in place the whole time. We've had our current legal system. Every barrister subscribes to the rules, and the system would break down if we didn't have those rules, which would make a bad situation even worse. I don't... How long do you think that's been the case? I think we'd massively struggle to find examples in the 60s, 70s, maybe even 80s, of lawyers using these ridiculous defences to keep people in the country. I do not think that this system works as intended, and I think you're being disingenuous to say that the whole thing will get worse if the rules change. Again, it's been pointed out many times before, but Keir Starmer is just a stickler for the rules, no matter how bad the rules are. This is the process. If I follow them, I've done nothing wrong. And that's why he ended up taking thousands of pounds worth of gifts from people, because, oh, it's okay, I declared them. Yeah, you're kind of missing the point here. So, yes, Keir Starmer is obviously part of the problem, and frankly, so far, I've seen no reason to think that they're actually going to do anything good about this. Just keep having all of these meetings and all these announcements, but at the end of the day, the statistics are what matter, and you can put out all your look how many people we're deporting videos you like. The fact of the matter is that if they are not outstripping the number of people coming in, the problem's only getting worse. So, thanks for that. Anyway, I think I'll leave the commentary there. With that, I don't really know what else there is to say. I don't think anyone's really shocked by this. Labour are terrible when it comes to dealing with illegal immigration. Who would have thunk? As usual with me, I think our best answer for this question will be reform. The Tories will just put the Rwanda scheme back in. It'll work a bit, but won't be the ultimate answer, and they'll refuse to actually disincentivise these people coming over with the larger scale of deportations that reform is promising, with every criminal and every illegal that comes over being deported. And they're also going to stop giving them the benefits that they currently get now. I see absolutely no attempt to fix that issue, and largely I think it's because both Tories and Labour effectively see these people as, well, genuine refugees until proven otherwise, which isn't the way round we should be doing it. I think it's better to assume, yes, they aren't legitimate refugees. They're already in a safe country when they come over. Anyway, that argument's been done to death. I won't bore you with it. With that, it's everything I had for you for today. So, Laughing at the Guardian on Saturday, videos out as and when I can make them. Do subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. Do donate money to the channel, either via super chats or super thanks in videos and streams, or by becoming a member. Right, with that, it's everything I had for you for today. So once again, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.